Thank you. The town of Hinton respectfully acknowledges that it is located on the First Peoples traditional lands. We recognize this traditional territory to show respect and understanding to those who walk this land since time immemorial. Today, we uphold our ongoing responsibility to work together in the spirit of the intent of the treaties with all the First Peoples and nations that call this place home. The town expresses gratitude for the opportunity to build a better community on these sacred lands for generations to come. And with that, we will call this regular council meeting for July 15th, 2025 to order. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and CO Panasic has some additions to the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. So since we have released the agenda on Friday, we have received 12 late submissions, 9 for 201 MacLeod Avenue, 2 for 180 Cheviot Drive, and 1 for 176 Cheviot Reserve Disposal. So we are recommending that council pass the agenda with the supplementary materials included in order to make them part of the public record.
Thank you. And CO Panasic, we discussed this prior to the meeting. The agenda online has already been updated with those materials. Is that correct?
Through the mayor, that's correct.
Thank you, CO Panasic. Council, we will be looking to get a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Councilor Stashik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council accept the amendments suggested by CEO Panasic.
Oh, thank you, Councilor Ostashik. So, Council, the motion on the floor is that Council accept the Council accept the amendment as recommended by CO Panasic. And thank you, Councilor Ostashik, for moving the amendment first. And Secretary, it's not adopt the agenda as amended, it's accept the amendment from CO Panasic, and then we'll adopt as amended. Thank you. Excellent. Council, the motion on the floor is that council accepts the amendments by CO Panasic. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councilors, please vote now. And Councilor Race voting in favor by hand. And that motion is carried unanimously. Yeah. Councilor Chambers.
I'd like to move that council accept the agenda for the July 15th, 2025 regular council meeting as amended.
Thank you, Councilor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopt the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councilors, please vote now. Councilor Race voting in favor by hand. And that motion is carried unanimously. Secretary, did you need us to revote that? Okay, Councilor, please go ahead and vote again. The motion on the floor is that council adopt the agenda as amended. Go ahead and vote now. Councilor Race, once again, in favor by hand. I've got that carried unanimously. Secretary, is that captured? Thank you. That will take us to section 3 of the agenda, council minutes for adoption. Councilors? Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we adopt the regular council minutes for June 17th, 2025, special council meeting of July 8th, 2025, and the committee of the whole meeting of July 8th, 2025.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting of June 17th, 2025, the special council meeting of July 8th, 2025, and the committee of the whole meeting July 8th, 2025. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councilors, please vote now. Council Race voting in favor by hand, and that motion is carried unanimously. I will take us to section 4 of the agenda, community announcements, and there were no submitted community announcements this week, which will take us to section 5, public hearings. And 5.1, the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 21. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26, RSA 2000, and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point, to a maximum of 5 minutes on a timer on our screen here. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. However, questions to councilors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to the bylaw open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed bylaw number 1088-21 is to amend land use district map lot 37, block 6, plan 1980 KS 201 MacLeod Avenue from RS2 residential standard lot district to RM1 low density multiple dwelling residential district, as shown in attachment 1. First reading was given to this bylaw on 1088-21 on June 3rd, 2025. The public hearing for bylaw 1088-21 was advertised in the Voice newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, June 12th, 19, and 26, 2025. A public hearing notice with a QR code was mailed to potentially affected registered landowners of the surrounding land. A physical notice board was posted on the subject lands. A residential housing infill strategy engagement webpage was created, plus a list of frequently asked questions was posted on the engagement webpage in the Town of Hinton website. Communications were also posted on Facebook, plus emailed via the town's Civic Send system to those who have signed up to be notified.
Thank you, Secretary. Are there any late written submissions relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 21?
No, there are none.
Thank you. I have a list of speakers for this bylaw, and we're going to start on the list. We've got Mr. Randy Fiddler. Please have a seat at the microphone. When you do sit down, please introduce yourself, and then you have 5 minutes to speak, and there's a timer there. But if you can keep your points brief and to the point, that'd be greatly appreciated by everyone that's going to have
Push the button.
You're on already.
Okay,
You're good
cool.
to go.
Here we go. I have 5 minutes.
Correct.
My name's Randy Fiddler. Yeah, I have things to say about all of them because that's just me. One thing I would like to say is you notice that there's a small amount of people here. You think it's a large amount, but it's rather small because most everybody's working. So you're not getting full input from the community this way. I did write a letter to you guys, which you all read. I just wanted to read a little bit of it. We're small town residents who enjoy the small town feeling of these small recreational plots, including Laurel Square. The population has changed, and once again, there are children on almost every street. Our children are now having kids of their own, and they deserve the same kind of town that their parents grew up in. Where are we? As the grandparents age, there will be housing available, which will help fill the void. There is more seniors housing, low-cost housing needed. The town has not grown in population for as long as I remember, and I don't expect it to in the near future, give or take 100. This is not due to lack of housing, rather lack of employment is the main culprit. I know that, we have a lot of people working at the lower paying jobs and sometimes 2 or 3 of them now. A bigger tax base is needed to further fund our needs, but not at the expense of the community. And that's one of the points is this is kind of about money too, right? It's not only about housing, it's about money. We can sell the land, we can tax the houses, we can do all that. So it's, it's about housing, but it's about dollars too. We really should have an information presentations for people who don't have any idea really what's going on. We did it with the water down at the rec centers and there, so everybody had a good idea of what's going on. And I looked at the map trying to figure out the town-owned properties and that on that map with all the colors. And there's a lot of light gray areas that can be used, that could be used. I don't know how they're serviced. I know the service thing's a big cost, right? To sell them off. There are future urban development areas close to the places that are already serviced. And what else? One thing I did want to say, because I'm going to say a little bit more on the other ones. I realize this is an inherited issue. You guys didn't, all of the dollars and the housing thing isn't really in your zone of time that you've been on the council. Most of you anyway. So I do think it's about money, mostly. It's about housing, but it's about money. And these people that have lived in these older houses around Laurel Square, I'm sure they don't want houses in their front yard. I've got other things to say, but I'll wait till another one.
Thank you, Mr. Fiddler. Next, we're going to go to Tyler Rossing.
Hi there. Yeah, excuse me. My name is Tyler Rossing. I live on Earth Drive. I signed up for Laurel Square. I am generally concerned about like just the lower hill in general. Seems like all of a sudden the green spaces, a big portion of them are all of a sudden being, the potential to be rezoned. One thing, since I started hearing about this, I've been asking friends, sport teammates, workmates. One of the concerns about just generally, if we were to infill all of these areas on the lower hill.
Mr. Ressing, could I just pause you for a moment? Secretary and comms, we're getting reports that we're not streaming. Can we confirm that our live stream is broadcasting? Fantastic. Fantastic. So whoever's got this report can pass along to whoever's asking them to try and reload the page. I apologize, Mr. Rossing. Feel free to step back wherever you need to.
So just, I think generally just it seems like if kind of all the lower hill, if we infill, how many more people, like what does this do for, say, the schools? Like everybody's all of a sudden probably going to be going to Mountain View. That's the very near school. What does that do? Like I know our schools are already quite full, large classrooms. I guess any other amenities, I can't really think of any right now, but just again, seems to focus lower hill. If we're to infill parking, there's areas that are already just single lane parking on the street. For me, the people I talk to, infill is kind of a icky word. Right now, Edmonton, I think they've been kind of infill friendly for a decade or so. Now there's a lot of kickback from the community. I think the general population's not happy. There's a few people getting rich who are probably happy with it. Do we want that in our community? Lots of talk about cost effective. Is the cheapest way the right way? Like, should we be sprawling out? I know it's more expensive, like understandably, but is that the right thing? Like, if we get rid of Laurel Square, how many doors are we putting in Laurel Square? How much of an issue are we fixing? Like, it's not a very big spot. For that one specifically, are you going to be fixing an issue on, I know every bit counts, but should we be small little peanuts or thinking bigger and getting out, spend the money, but maybe it's got to be done. The population has been about 10,000 in this community, according to Google, according to the Alberta website, like even as far back as the 1990. Why now all of a sudden do we need infill? Like, to me, that's concerning. That other people that know about the population, I think they're questioning the same thing. Is that due to, call it landlords, people with multiple ownings, maybe too many Airbnbs? I believe right now the town's probably stressed with our Jasper evacuees. Like, just a lot of people are feeling, is this kind of a bit of a panic decision to get rid of our green spaces that when they're gone, they are gone forever and ever and ever. Yeah, the reason I got up here truly is I want a place for my kids and my friends' kids and their kids to be kids, not on the screens, not in their basement. Again, I'm living on Aerith. I get there's Aerith Park. If all these other places were to turn to infill, now there is still Aerith Park, but that's just like all of a sudden that's space limited. Like, options are limited. Yeah, and then just generally, there's the what was it called here? Kind of like the Hinton's long-term vision report. Kind of what does Hinton look like in 2047? There's lots of talk on there about honoring, keeping the green spaces, keeping the green parks. Just one moment here. I'll try and wrap up here shortly. Yeah, the Hinton Municipal Development Plan, it's on the website there, but yeah, it seems like all of a sudden we're getting away from that vision quite quickly, all of a sudden. Yeah, and then just to also in that long-term vision in regards to Cheviot, there's talk about not rezoning.
I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
You're just about at your time, and Cheviot's a separate public hearing. We cannot take
Okay.
anything into consideration from a different public hearing.
Okay.
Ooh, that is quite the
Did I win?
Thank you very much, Mr. Rossing. All right. Next, we're going to Ray Buckning. Ray Buckning. Boning? Ray Boning? Ray? You in the back there, Ray? All right, well, we'll make another call for Ray in a minute. We'll go to David Madsen next.
My name is David Madsen. I co-own 106 Laurel Square. My father-in-law built that in the late 1950s. He could look out the window and see all the way to West End Grocery there. Nothing was in the way. It started off as a green space, Laurel Square, used by kids over decades. Somewhere along the line, it got Laurel Square got changed in its zoning to be what it is right now as I don't have the right words, but single housing. Right now, and I worry about losing green space in this town. Once you fill it in, once you've lost it, you don't get it back. The proposed change that administration is making is to change it to low density. Well, right now, technically duplexes could be built on it. Okay. So my only thinking there is that administration would be looking at changing it so that townhouses or row houses would be built on there. So it's much more intense in terms of administration's idea than just a couple of duplexes. Okay. My final issue is that even with anything built on it, it's like the infrastructure is not proper for any further development because the road is so narrow around there. It's like at this point now, getting emergency vehicles, getting a fire truck around Laurel Square is virtually impossible without driving over the curbs and onto the grass of the square. And so if there's certainly further development on that, there would be, I assume, probably more vehicles trying to park there. And then the town has an issue with a portion of the town not being able to be serviced by emergency vehicles. So those are my points there. I'm sure there'll be other points coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Metzen. Next, we'll make another call for Ray Boning. Ray, are you in the audience? No sign of Ray. Okay. That will take us to this next question. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 21? Seeing no one, is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 108821? Ma'am, I see a hand up. Please come on forward and introduce yourself. Please have a seat, state your name, and
Hi, I'm Marilyn Samuelson, and I live at 105 Laurel Square. I've lived there since 1991. I enjoy looking out my front window and seeing some green space. I play with my grandchildren out there. My children have grown up out there playing. Like the gentleman before said, there's no parking out there already. And I'm on a corner. So I lose one parking space as is. Now what's going to happen to my parking? Number two, what's going to happen to the price of my house? When there's a big building, who wants to buy a house with this great big huge building in front of them? I don't see my value of my house changing or will change if there's a big building. I think it'll interfere with the beauty of Laurel Square. So that's about all I have to say.
thank you very much, Ms. Samuelson. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 21? Okay. Is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by bylaw number 1088 TAC 21 and wishes to speak? Seeing nothing, do councillors have any further questions? Do the councillors require further information? Oh, Councillor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess to the last submission there, I was wondering, referring to a huge building, my assumption or I guess my understanding was if this was to be rezoned, what could potentially be in that area as for residential?
CO Panasic?
Through the mayor to Councillor Hawes, so I can read off the permitted uses. But if our planning team wants to supplement with anything else, they can. But the permitted uses are accessory buildings or structures, duplex, dwelling, park, public utility, minor, row house, semi-detached dwelling, and townhouse. Those are the permitted uses. with the discretionary being home occupation, secondary suite, internal or external, and single detached dwelling.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Councillors, do councillors require any further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to the bylaw number 1088 TAC 21 is closed, and I will accept a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will make the motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. And council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 21. Not seeing it yet. Maybe re-push it, Secretary. Still not seeing anything. We're going to go ahead and vote by hand, council. So council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 21. All in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously by hand. That will take us to item 5.2 on the agenda, public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 22, 180 Cheviot Drive. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26, RSA 2000, and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. However, questions to councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw or to the bylaw open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed bylaw 1088. Sorry, my apologies. The purpose of the proposed bylaw 1088-22 is to amend land use district map lot 25, block 13, plan 0023661, 180 Cheviot Drive from P Park Park and Recreation District to RM2, medium to high density multiple dwelling residential district as shown on attachment 1. First reading for the bylaw was given on June 3rd, 2025. The public hearing for bylaw 1088-22 was advertised in the Hinton Voice newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, June 12th, 19th, and 26th, 2025. A public hearing notice with a QR code was mailed to potentially affected registered landowners of the surrounding land. A physical notice board was posted on the subject lands. A residential housing infill strategy engagement webpage was created, plus a list of frequently asked questions was posted on the engagement webpage and the Town of Hinton website. Communications were also posted on Facebook, plus emailed via the town's civic send system to those who have signed up to be notified.
Are there any late written submissions relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 22?
No, there are not.
Thank you. We have a list of speakers. So first up, we have Lori and Wayne Ingram.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, I wanted you to know about the history that both of us have in this town. My family, my grandparents came and my dad about 1953, and we started a pulp mill, a sawmill, Terrace's sawmill. Many of you might be familiar of that site. At that time, it was the Overlander Lodge, or at the bottom of that area that we lived. My grandparents built the very first house on Erith Drive. So that was kind of important. Wayne's family, parents lived in Hinton since whenever the pulp mill started. So Wayne and I bought our house on Lodgepole in 1981 and lived there until we purchased and moved on to Cheviot in July of 2021. So we just wanted you to be aware of the history of what we have here in town. So on to the matters now. We're thinking that you've heard by the letters received from those of us in larger numbers here today that we, the citizens of Hinton, are not in favor of using our existing green spaces and making residential areas low to high density or anything in between. The green or park spaces are beneficial for all the reasons that people have told you. I did read all the letters last night that did come in. They are being used and are required for the well-being of all Hintonites who use them and others who will use them when they're enhanced. And our hope is well past the time that even when we are gone, that they will be used and preserved. They should also not be developed into homes, apartments, condos, etc., because of the concerns that were brought forward as well. If you decide in our favor not to move forward with the rezoning at 180 Cheviot, like council did in 2017, we are quite concerned that we will be dealing with this rezoning again in a few years unless some changes are made to this space. The people in the area have been asking to make this area more park-like since 2017. But this time we have expectations that some development by the town will take place, maybe a paved trail through the wooded area and onto the grassy area at 176 Cheviot, and some lighting along the path in order to join the trails to the lower area of the hill within a year or two. We hope to work as committees of the whole, maybe one from the town and one from the community, to help to decide what would be best for this area. Let's leave this more a natural park-like setting with some enhancements. It's been suggested to make this a memorial park after those who helped to build this town, maybe complete with an interpretive center for the mine that once was over a lot of the hill area. How many people know that this was the case? We should study that. We should use the study that the town has done and paid for and have info boards, et cetera, set up for that area. Could we make it a tourist attraction similar to the Beaver Boardwalk, Athabasca Riverfront Park, and the bike park? It has been suggested that parking for this area could be the parking area at Lions Park. We're getting ahead of ourselves, though, because firstly, we respectfully ask that you, the mayor, and the council vote to leave these areas on Cheviot Drive as green and park. Please, please, please vote, as the people of Hinton have asked, for this space and some others that you are proposing to rezone at this time. That is to leave it a green space. We thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. and Mr. Ingram. Next up, we have Mr. Bob Stashinsky.
As a resident on Meadow Drive, we've been there for roughly 30 some years. And when we moved in there, we had a lot of cleanup. We had trouble with break-ins, stealing, everything else. Vandalism, myself. And I fear that if we start building at the Scout Hall, we're going to end up right where we were about 30 some years ago. And myself, our neighbors, we're not going to tolerate that. We can't. It took us at least 20 years to clean that area up. By phoning all the time, getting people down there to evict people out of the houses and everything. It used to be a bad neighborhood. We've got it cleaned up now, and I'd like to see it that way. We have children all over the place, new people coming in there. They've got kids. I don't want to see them getting into trouble. if we start building low-income houses there or even high rises, that's not a place for it. There's lots of history at that Scout Hall. Our grandkids go up there. They play up there. And if we put into a motion to make it into a spray park, if we can, the water's there, power is there. We can make that into a nice place for the kids to play in instead of on the streets and getting into trouble. I am really concerned about this because I've been through a lot, all of us on that street, what we went through. We don't want to go through it again. And again, as Lori said, there's lots of history there with that Scout Hall. And if we turn into a park, I think it's going to help the tourism. If we have some plaques and stuff like that, what has been done or in that area years ago, I think it would help tourism too. And the families that come to visit families, perfect place for them. If we build, we're going to have trouble with parking. And also, I don't want a bunch of traffic going past my place in the back alley. Because I mentioned to Joanne, we've had trouble in the past. What's going to happen if you build on that site? Are we going to have a straight road going from Mountain Street all the way to Cheviot? Is it going to be an open field where we got people racing through there and stealing stuff like they have been? We don't need that. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood. I like to see it that way. And I like to see the kids enjoy their life without being harassed by who knows who. Because in kind of that back alley with those trees that's bordering the MacLeod and Meadow. And not only that, but if people come to visit there, clean some of that trees out of there, and you got a nice, perfect view of the mountains. That's the reason why we moved there, so we can look out the window and look at the mountains, and we can tell whether there's a rain's going to come or what. It's interesting. So I like to see it stay the way it is, make it into a park, and have the kids enjoy someplace to go. Because right now, there's really no place for them to go other than down the valley. How many people can afford to take their kids down there all the time? The economy is not good now. And some people are struggling to make sure the kids don't get in trouble. So this would be a nice place for them to go. And there's lots of seniors there, including myself. We're always watching out for them. We're making sure they don't get in trouble. And if we see somebody get in trouble, well, then we'll just ask, what's your name? And we'll go talk to your parents and they'll straighten it out. But I'd like to see that stay as a park. Because I intend to stay there for a couple more years yet anyway.
We wish you the best of luck in that.
So I'm pleading. Consider it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Stashinsky. Next up, we have Mr. Randy Fiddler.
This is great. I get to think of more stuff. I'm Randy Fiddler again. I live on Meadow Drive also, just around the corner from Bob. That's our backyard, that hill. And that's where we walk. And that's where, the pathway comes from Switzer Drive up to there. And we walk down through that hill. I'm sure the people that live and look at that hill out their front window don't want any development there. We already have actually the alley around from Meadow, which from my street, We have a tiny home going in there as we speak. We have another one that's built with a suite above, a huge garage with a suite above there, a rental suite, a bed and breakfast. The way that we've set this up, the town up, it seems, is high density everywhere. We really need our green spaces. Really, really need them. That's pretty much all I have to say right now. I'm on 4 more of them, so.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Mr. Fiddler. Next up, we have Miss Karen Clute.
Hello. I'm Karen Clute. I live on 185 Seabolt Crescent, but I grew up and lived on Cheviot Drive, 156, for about 30 years. I spoke against any development on Cheviot back in 2017. As a born and raised Hintonite, I have firsthand experience of living on Cheviot and being a passenger or driver on that street. Besides the main arguments of that lot being a high traffic corridor for foot and bike traffic, along with the crosswalk at the bottom of Cheviot Hill, it's an area, as you have heard, for kids to play on, where trees catch rainfall and prevent further runoff and provide sound protection, where portions of an underground mine are from the Happy Creek Mine Interpretive Program document in 2009, which I also used a photo from in my 3-page document that I sent you guys earlier. The maps clearly show how far the underground portion has gone. Sight lines at the bottom and top of the Cheviot Hill are not great for traffic. An already busy road with traffic parked on both sides of Sherwood Drive. And my biggest concern is the steepness of Cheviot Hill. I would like to ask council and administration if anyone has driven up Cheviot Drive in the winter after a snowstorm. It's a challenge. It's a challenge depending on your vehicle, depending on the tires. And if we're increasing traffic on that road, it is worrisome. I understand the allure of that piece of land when looking at a map, but I do think any development on this area is a mistake. And I would just say no and put the money elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clute. Next up, we have Carol Thomason.
Hi, I'm going to read a letter, late submission, I guess, from my daughter. I will skip the details as we've already read into the record, but it's the opposition to bylaw use 1088-22. This amendment goes directly against strategy 18 of the 2011 Community Sustainability Plan. Quote, protect and expand green spaces to conserve natural habitats, end quote. This is also incongruent with the 2019 Parks, Open Spaces and Trails Master Plan report that states that, quote, Hinton consider implementation of an urban forest plan, end quote. Though this natural space is currently being used by people as a park for biking, playing, and exploring, it is more importantly utilized as habitat for wildlife species and a continuation of the wildlife corridor through the town. As someone with a conservation biology background, the town needs to understand how critical it is to preserve natural forested areas. Additionally, looking forward to how climate change will affect our town, trees are critical for carbon capture and keeping cities cool. Green spaces are critical for both wildlife and the planet. I hope you will consider why this would be detrimental. Thank you. Sincerely, Charlotte Thomason. Additionally, I would like to add, when my family moved here 20 years ago from Calgary, we were so excited to have so much nature all around us. We literally could not believe how much green space was in this town. And I think it's such a gem. But I think it's ironic that you make reports like the Community Sustainability Report and the Open Parks and Trails Report that laud our green spaces and natural wonders. And then you come up with this housing report that ignores the points outlined in the previous reports. Things that make our town wonderfully unique place is that it is full of nature. Please, please keep all the green spaces in town intact and expand the town outside of the boundaries that are there now, where their future is already laid out, and keep expanding the green spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Next up, we have Illo Harp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors. I'm Illo Harp and I live on 112 Meadow Drive. It's an established neighborhood. Like Karen and Lori mentioned several years ago, our neighborhood gave an adamant no to rezoning. We're still there in the neighborhood. We're older, hopefully a little wiser now, but the question is, why are we back here requesting the same thing again? And I did put in a written response. My major concern was flooding in our neighborhood. Currently, we have small showers, snow melt. There's an amazing amount of runoff that comes down through Meadow Drive off of the hill. But I'm going to add two other points. One is denuding that hill of all the trees. We'll be removing the sound barrier and all the noise coming off of Mountain Street. It's a hill, so you're either exhilarating or hitting the brakes. So that noise would all be coming down into our neighborhood. And the other one is sloughing. Was it 2 years ago on the west end of Cheviot? It had to be restabilized. And then I think it was a few years before that, if you go down that back alley on Sherwood Drive, it was sloughing off of Cheviot, the back alley, quite a major piece. Down that slope onto their back alley. For us, from 180 Cheviot, if that would happen, right below is just a narrow walkway, and then you're into somebody's home or garage, if that ever sloughed. And with it being denuded, there'd be a lot more unstable ground. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Harp. Next, we have Betty Desjardins.
My name is Betty Desjardins, Betty Hunt, and I've lived here all my life. And I lived on Steel Square for many, many years. And that was my route to school, to Mountain View, every day. And I've enjoyed the Scout, and I've enjoyed the Scout Hall. I've enjoyed that area immensely all my life. So here I am to, of course, oppose it. And I did write a letter. And if I could just refer from it. Okay. I just wrote that I'm concerned resident of Hinton regarding the potential rezoning of the wooded area located at 180 Cheviot down to 176. including the land where the Scout Hall most recently stood. I respectfully urge that these green spaces not be rezoned or developed for other purposes, but rather retained, protected, enhanced as public parkland for the enjoyment of well-being of Hinton residents. These areas are not just empty lots. They are part of a beautiful natural landscape that provides grassy areas, wooded trails, and peaceful spaces for people and pets alike. Many local residents enjoy walking through these trails, experiencing the quiet beauty of nature and sharing quality time with their families and pets. Instead of being developed, I believe these spaces could be further improved and maintained as an official town park. With some thoughtful planning, the area could include maintained trails, pet-friendly walking paths, benches, flowers, making it an even more welcoming and accessible space for all. Please don't take our parks away. These green spaces are essential for mental and physical health, community connection, and environmental stability. Once they are gone, they cannot be brought back. Let us keep 180 Cheviot Drive down to 176, where the old Scout Hall used to be, as treasured green space for us, for our children, and for our future generations. That's all I have to say. I'm really love that spot. So I just heard of this yesterday and I was immediately drawn to it.
Well, thank you, Ms. Desjardins. You made it in. And that concludes our list of pre-registered speakers. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 22? Seeing none, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 22? I saw you as well. Hello, Mr. French, please have a seat.
My name is Lou French. I've been in Hinton probably more years than what you guys are aged. So if I was to give you a history lesson, we'd have to be here till 8 o'clock. Anyways, I am very much in favor of making a green space out of this and making it into a park. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't know all the costs, but I'm sure if the town would spend some money and clean up all the underbrush in that bush and make some walking trails and maybe have a few park benches or something like that, but just clean it up. And at the part where the Scout Hall was, I don't know how many kids are going, the preschool kids. I'm gonna guess that's probably 100 to 150 that go in there every day. You know something? I've talked to those people and they said, this is the best place, but it's a mess. It should be cleaned up. And you know something? To clean that up, there's no big expense. And I think that's one of the things the town should look at. The other thing is, I live right at the bottom of that hill, okay? I see deer in there all the time. You know something? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. They don't get into my garden, but they should raise hell with my fruit trees. But you know, not everybody has that. We have it. And you know something? I've been around Jasper a lot for many years, and I remember the elk roaming around in people's yards and stuff like that. And I thought it was so beautiful. Today we have that right there. And you know something? We just got to fix it up. And I'm sure the cost there is minimal. And I think, I know I don't have a dog anymore until just recent, but I'm telling you, we used to have 2 dogs and we walked through there a lot. I would like to see it zoned green and made into a nice walking area, a nice spot where these preschool kids could go in and play and spend lots of time. But I think we're open to ideas but let's keep it green. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. French. Mr. Rossing, did you?
Yeah, my name's Tyler. Yeah, this one should be pretty brief. Just again, myself, the people in my neighborhood on Erith, around Cheviot, like I said, I've been canvassing, I've been asking, I've been wondering what the people think. Yeah, they are just like, I think most people here vehemently against infill, specifically in our green spaces. And again, just back to the Hinton Municipal Development Plan. There's talks on like page 14 talking about respecting the natural environment. It talks about areas with springs and prone to flooding. Don't know for sure, but I imagine old mine shafts, steep hills, just probably something to think about, something to look into. Page 20, it talks about Hinton remembering and respecting the history and trying to generate civic pride and historical pride. They're talking about the old mine there and plaques and stuff. Like, again, I think that sounds like a really great idea, and it is in line with this previous document. It sounds like other documents that I haven't seen. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rossing. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 22?
Hi, my name's Alicia Hollingsworth, and I've been a resident in Hinton for about 16 years. We moved our family here for the nature and beauty that our community has to offer. So I'm speaking as a resident of the community, as well as I own and operate the daycare that's on MacLeod, Explore and Discover Childcare Center. We have about 70 children that are registered in our program that we utilize the community green spaces daily. Our program goes outside twice a day. Quite often we're utilizing the green spaces of the community for gross motor play for children, the well-being of being outside in nature. I think the demands of families and working and that sort of stuff. Many families don't have the ability to get outside, so the children rely on us to get them out. Gross motor development and play is actually a lack in children's development, shockingly, because of inside time, TVs, screen time, that sort of stuff. So the green spaces are detrimental to the children's well-being in our community. And I think once the spaces are taken away, we can't look back. It's unfortunate, but the children of the community, whether it's in my childcare center or the families within the center, we need those spaces for mental health and well-being of children. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hemsworth. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 22? You come on over.
I don't have any prepared notes here, but I was inspired to come up here and speak to this. Couple thoughts here.
Can we just start with your name, sir?
Oh, Werner Mueller.
Thank you.
Moved to Hinton about 2008. I've been many places and there's nothing like Hinton. It's a real gem, and I think it's your guys' job to protect that. And the community is not the buildings, the infrastructure. It's none of that. The community is the green spaces, the experience the kids have after school, on the way to school, you can't take that away. Another thing, if this is about housing, I challenge you to do something about the Airbnbs. I think any council member that votes for this is betraying this community, and we should hold them accountable to that in the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 22? Seeing none, is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by bylaw number 1088 TAC 22 and wishes to speak? Seeing nothing, do councillors have any further questions? Councillor Haas.
Thank you. To administration, I just want to confirm, it's been mentioned the community sustainability plan since 2011 was made. However, can you tell us the status of that plan at this point?
CEO Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of the council, I believe that plan was redacted either late 2022 or early 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Thank you, Councillor Haas. Do councillors have any further questions? Seeing nothing, do councillors require further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to bylaw numbers 1088 TAC 22 is closed and will accept the motion to adjourn. Councillor Ostashik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that public hearing for bylaw number 1088-22 is adjourned.
Thank you, Councillor Ostashik. And council, the motion on the floor is the council adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 22. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand, and that motion is carried unanimously. This will take us to item 5.3 on the agenda this evening. Public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 23. 190 Mauer Drive. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26 RSA 2000 and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. However, questions to the councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to the bylaw open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed bylaw number 1088-23 is to amend the land use bylaw, land use district map lot 2, block 4, plan 1520289 190 Mauer Drive from Parks and Recreation District to RS3 Residential Narrow Lot District, as shown on attachment 1. The first reading to the bylaw was given on June 3rd, 2025. The public hearing for bylaw 1088-23 was advertised in the Hinton Voice newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, June 12th, 19th, and 26th, 2025. A public hearing notice with a QR code was mailed to potentially affected registered landowners of the surrounding land. A physical notice board was posted on the subject lands. A residential housing infill strategy engagement webpage was created, plus a list of frequently asked questions was posted on the engagement webpage and the Town of Hinton website. Communications were also posted on Facebook, emailed via the town's civic send systems to those who have signed up to be notified.
Thank you, Secretary. Are there any late written submissions relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 23?
No, there's not.
Thank you. I have a list of speakers. We have first up, Francois Lebel. Francois? Okay, we will call Francois back at the end. We will go to Randy Fiddler next.
I don't have a horse in this race. We went down and took a look at it down there. It's you know, you probably could put a few buildings down there and still make a park. You know, the people across the road from it might not like a whole lot of change. That's the green area. I'm neither for or against that because I don't have a horse in the race, but you really want to be, that could be turned into a nice green space. Could have a few more trees, could have a couple picnic tables. You know, everybody's talking about the value of green spaces. Just one, I got some other things that I was going to say and I have more time. All of this land in town that's owned by somebody, nobody knows, well, some people know who, and it hasn't been developed. Why don't we raise the taxes on the undeveloped land at a certain point? Like we're raising, you know, we need money. We need money for the water. We need money for the rec center. We need money for everything. Why don't we force them to build or sell it to somebody that will?
And that's going to be off topic for this public hearing.
I know it is. I know. That was just a question. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fiddler. Next up, we have Betty Desjardins. There's a quick turnaround for you on this one, Betty. No, not a problem. Take your time.
And you know, my name is Betty Desjardins and I'm from Hinton all my life. And I'm speaking in regards to down on 190 Mauer. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's down in the valley. And it's not maintained as anything right now. It's no green grass. There's beautiful trees there, but it's actually could be potential for a beautiful spot for people to go and play ball, you know, do things with their family. And it's in town limits, and I just think the area is a peaceful stretch of land that provides beauty, tranquility, and a place for residents, young and old, to enjoy the outdoors. In a time where green spaces are disappearing far too quickly, it is vital that we preserve what little nature we still have within our town limits. I strongly urge the town of Hinton to retain the development and develop by putting grass, flowers, more trees, again, trails. Not as a site for residential or commercial construction. Our community needs grassy green areas where children can play, families can gather, and seniors like myself can walk and sit in peace. Please do not allow rezoning or any form of development that would destroy this natural area. We need our green spaces now more than ever. Let's make Hinton beautiful. Let's make it greener and healthier and more enjoyable place to live. Project 190 Mauer Drive for current and future generations.
Thank you, Ms. Desjardins. We're going to go last call for Francois Lebel. Okay. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor for bylaw number 1088 TAC 23? Seeing none, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 23? Is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by bylaw number 1088 TAC 23 and wishes to speak? Do the councillors have any further questions? Do councillors require any further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 23 is closed and will accept a motion to adjourn. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to move that we adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088-23 190 Mauer Drive.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 23. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand, and that motion is carried unanimously. That will take us to item 5.4 on the agenda this evening. Public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 24, 117 to 133 Rowan Street. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26 RSA 2000 and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. However, questions to the councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed bylaw 1088-24 is to amend the land use district map lots 2 to 6, block 18, plan 5284KS, and lot 13, block 19, plan 2421243, 117 to 133 Rowan Street, from P Park, Parks and Recreation District to C Node, Urban Node Commercial District, as shown on attachment 1. First reading for this bylaw was given on June 3rd, 2025. The public hearing for bylaw 1088-24 was advertised in the Hinton Voice newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, June 12th, 19th, and 26th, 2025. Public hearing notice for the QR code was mailed to potentially affected registered landowners of the surrounding land. A physical notice board was posted on the subject lands. A residential housing infill strategy engagement webpage was created, plus a list of frequently asked questions was posted on the engagement webpage and the Town of Hinton website. Communications were also posted on Facebook, plus emailed via the Town of Hinton's Civic Send system to those who have signed up to be notified.
Thank you, Secretary. Are there any late written submissions relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 24?
No, there are not.
Thank you. We have a list of pre-signed up speakers, and up first we have Rud Sviatoslav. I butchered that name. I apologize. Rud Sviatoslav. Okay, we will move on to Lois Tunke. I apologize for butchering your last name as well.
That was perfect.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Lois Strunke. I've lived in Hinton since 1982, raised my children here. We lived on Fairfax Drive for many years and loved the forested area behind that. I've lived in Thompson Lake on Bradwell Street. I'll get to that later. And I now live in Happy Creek. I live at Happy Creek, and I'm glad for the green spaces that are there in the center. There are 42 home units there, and the green spaces are well used by children as well as adults who sit out and visit in the spaces that are available there. Green spaces in general, I've loved all the comments that have been made throughout these talks, these hearings of the use of green spaces and why they're so important for quality of life and well-being. I also speak with the idea of having less space for parking when you have too high density. We have a little bit of that problem where I do live at Happy Creek because there's only so many visitor parking spots. Also emergency access in some of these other areas where you talk about living, particularly on MacLeod and Cheviot, or MacLeod, the one for sure. What else? So I lived in Thompson Lake for Oh, yes. So the part I'm supposed to be talking about is about Rowan Street, 117 to 133. Sorry, gets nervous to be up here.
It's okay.
So that is behind where I'm living. That area has a creek behind it that is adjacent to Sunset Trailer Park. I know it's not used that much, but I love walking back there just to see the area where the trees are and behind, and the creek back there. When we talk about spaces that are available, I have a suggestion of one. I lived in Thompson Lake on Bradwell Street for a number of years. There is area up behind Bradwell Street that has fire hydrants, and I'm sure other water, if water's there, there's probably been power and whatever put up in there. That's a suggestion for a place. It's where the trees were removed a few years ago for a fire. What do you call it? Fire break. Thank you. So that's a suggestion that I have. I appreciate all the ones that have spoken about the need for green spaces. There's actually a verse in the Bible that says, "Woe to him who lays house to house till there's no place for a man to be alone." To have a space where you can just be and enjoy the quality of life of having trees and green spaces around you is very, very important. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go last call for Rud Svatoslav. Rud, are you in the building? Seeing nothing, we will go to ask, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 24? Mr. Fiddler. You didn't sign up for this one, but
Actually, both of those are in my neighborhood. So I kind of like those areas where the other buildings have turned out pretty well. Two things that would have to happen would be Happy Creek should be kind of cleaned up and developed into a nice area back there. Happy Creek is a pretty nice little creek if it gets cleaned up. And the other thing is that we'd have to figure out how to cut down on the miscreants that are sneaking around in the trees, because then you're in somebody's backyard or somebody's yard and things go missing. So that's the only two things, but I don't see a problem with it myself. A little bit more traffic. You might have to deal with the service road or something, a little bit, making it one way, something, but that's all I can see. Aren't you happy about that?
Well, thank you, Mr. Fiddler. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 24? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 24? Please, sir.
Walter Woodley. I've moved here about 15 years ago. We live in Forest Heights, and I'm raising a grandson that goes down to the park all the time at Happy Creek, and we actually got Saskatoons there yesterday. Not yesterday, the day before. It was raining too hard yesterday. Yeah, the concerns I have with that property, I'm not against the commercial use of or selling the lots, but I am concerned with the rezoning in the respect that you look at the existing commercial business on Rowan Street there, the tire shop. In the bylaws allow the development authority to have unlimited decision-making power on the use of the park. And back in 2017, the power pole was moved off the property line, and that business was allowed to use Happy Creek Park to access the lot at the back since about that time. And that lot was just sold, rezoned, or under a subdivision plan you guys did, and sold to that, not the business owner, because he rents it, to the owner of the property. And I see now, just this spring, they stopped using it and they've got a berm there and they're going to seed it and make a barrier to the park. But if you see, there were trees by the pathway. They actually moved the pulver over and that was access. Now, the development authority, you guys don't do developments. You may go up front and negotiate a little bit in that, but in their powers to do things, as those commercial properties get developed, they have the power to unilaterally give concessions on the parkland, not in the permanent or the discretionary uses. It was an ad that was in there, put in 2016, that they have the independent authority to adjust those without going to anybody to change it, right? So I would like to have some access or protection of the park for future commercial developments that prevent, or at least it comes to council to decide if you're going to go outside the permitted and the discretionary uses. Because in that case, that property was used for commercial business. I don't know the deal. I put a formal complaint in 2023, never got any response on it, whether you're getting who made the decision to use it, and whether you guys are getting rent or any compensation for it, or what was the deal. So go forward, I think that needs to be in place to ensure that commercial developments that are there are not impacted or decrease the value of the park land itself. The other point, and in all these rezoning or these rezoning properties to use for development, the Municipal Act allows people to know about the developments when they come in and to be able to understand them and appeal them. Your bylaws currently does not publish out or put out permitted use developments so that people know which ones have been done. Because most of these are permitted use developments, right? When they're doing the commercial. The other item is you don't have any way of directly contacting known affected individuals for those development permits as well. That was removed, which all the other municipalities in the areas do use. Do have facilities to be able to mail out to their affected individuals. So in effect, you're executing the permitted job and going through not notifying affected individuals so they can look at the development permit, choose to decide whether they want to appeal it or not. And Alberta Court of Appeals have already said that a person can appeal any permitted use development, even if, and then they can determine whether it affects them. They don't have to go in there. They can just feel that they're negatively affected and be able to apply. So the town does not have that in their bylaws. And the town is its independent government of itself, and you guys control those bylaws as a town council. So important to give all these people the rights when a house is being built or a development for a duplex is coming in. They know when that permit is approved, they're able to see it, and they're able to say, do we want to appeal this? Is there something unfairly being done? And allow that process to happen so that they're fairly treated. So I'm just saying, because of 7 years of abuse of the park by the owner of that property who's renting it to the Fountain Tire or whatever, the tire shop, that it had happened and they didn't do anything about it, right? So nobody realized that they took a bunch of trees and stuff out when they moved that pole in 2017. So what I'm looking for is, I'm against putting commercial stuff there if they're going to abuse the park or impact it in a negative way. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Woodley. Councillor Race, did you have a question for the speaker? Administration. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To administration, can you speak to what Walter was just saying in regards to permanent use, affected people, appeals?
Panasic.
Through the mayor to members of council. So if something is a permitted use and there's we as a development authority have to approve it as long as they're complying with all the standards through our bylaws. The right inherent with a natural person to launch a judicial review or something through the Court of King's Bench does not affect our responsibility to approve things that match our bylaws. So we don't have the discretion in administration to do that. So typically, in my experience, that permitted uses are not advertised as they're not appealable. As long as those developments follow the bylaws as they're laid out, they're approved.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088 TAC 24? Is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by bylaw number 1088 TAC 24 and wishes to speak? Do the councillors have any further questions? Oh, we have a speaker. Wonderful.
My name is Liz Larilla, and I've only been in Hinton for 5 years, but I'm concerned about it being classified as commercial because we have enough problems already with where I live at Happy Creek, with the commercial buildings that are around. And the noise is incredible. There's a number of us that are seniors in that area. And if you go to a commercial and have more commercial buildings in there, the noise is going to be that much greater. I would like to see, if it's going to be classified as commercial, that it be made into just residential and small residential. You have to take into also consider that if it is residential, that maybe it should be just for adults and not for children, because with the creek being that close, doesn't take much to drown a kid. And with there's being a busy road, Rowan is a terrible road for people just speeding down there like crazy. So I object to it being commercial, but not commercial. Because I understand that under commercial, you also can have residential. So what my question is, if it's going to be classified as commercial, do we have any way of appealing what kind of residential would go in there? Like, is it going to be 4-story high, or is it going to be just bungalows, or is there any way of us knowing after the fact of it being zoned? Do we have any other way of appealing anything?
CAO Panasic, I'm going to direct this question to you. What is the perhaps use cases for the desired zoning for the Rowan Street lots? And then what would that process look like?
Through the mayor. So the permitted uses, which would not be appealable as long as they meet the all of the other standards, but that would be animal service center, brew pub, cannabis retail, eating or drinking establishment, entertainment establishment, general office, grocery store, hotel, motel, liquor store, medical clinic, park, personal service establishment, public utility minor, retail store, and veterinary clinic. The discretionary uses, which would be appealable, would be the accessory building, structure, car wash, service station, air facility, day, family, or group, commercial school, gas station, indoor recreation, multi-dwelling unit development up to 4 stories, places of assembly, residential dwelling units above street level, and stacked townhouse.
Well, thank you for the information, but I still would like to see it just be residential and none of those other kind of commercial things. We've got enough of that commercial stuff around us as it is. And as a senior that I like to go out and walk, I don't like to be up against all that kind of traffic and commercialism.
Thank you, Ms. Larilla. Is there anyone else present who is deemed to be affected by the bylaw number 1088 TAC 24 and wishes to speak? Oh, sorry, Mr. Fiddler, no, I can't let you, but we're doing Rowan Street next, so you can speak to the next Rowan Street one. Is there anyone else who's deemed affected by the bylaw number 1088 TAC 24 and wishes to speak? Do any councillors have any further questions? Do the councillors require any further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 24 is closed and will accept the motion to adjourn. Councillor Hawes.
I will make that motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 24. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand, and that motion is carried unanimously. That will take us to item 5.5 on the agenda today, public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 25. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26 RSA 2000 and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other persons deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may ask questions of the speakers at each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the bylaw. However, questions to the councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to the bylaw open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed bylaw number 1088-25 is to amend the land use district map lot 7 block 19 plan 1124128 143 Rowan Street from PCOM Community Services District to C Node Urban Node Commercial District as shown on attachment 1. The first reading of this bylaw was given on June 3rd, 2025. The public hearing for the bylaw number 1088-25 was advertised in the Hinton Voice newspaper for 3 consecutive weeks, June 12th, 19th, and 26th, 2025. A public hearing notice with a QR code was mailed to potentially affected registered landowners of the surrounding land. A physical notice board was posted on the subject lands. A residential housing infill strategy engagement webpage was created, plus a list of frequently asked questions was posted on the engagement webpage and the Town of Hinton website. Communications were also posted on Facebook, plus emailed via the town's Civic Send system for those who have signed up to be notified.
Thank you, Secretary. Are there any late written submissions relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 25?
No, there are none.
Thank you, Secretary. First up on the sign-up sheet, we have Rud Svatoslav. Is Rud here now? Seeing no Rud, we will go to, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 25? You're going to wait? All right, Mr. Fiddler.
We say this very often, but I was mistaken on the other one. There's no commercial on this. I think I heard. This is just for residential.
CO Panassa, can you clarify the zoning desire on this one?
Through the mayor to members of council, note this was going from Community Services District, PCOM, to Urban Node Commercial District, so it is commercial.
And that Urban Node Commercial District was the same that you just read off for the last public hearing?
That's correct.
Yeah, I thought that we were looking for housing, like we were looking for housing and not commercial area. So if we're really looking for housing, which was the base of all this, maybe we should not have commercials through that area. We already have the Husky there. We have the tire shop there. And it's pretty noisy with those trucks idling all night in the winter time there too. So I'm not too sure how you can work around that, but the commercials, I didn't realize actually that was going in there. Didn't read that correctly. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Fiddler. Councillor Haas, did you have a question for the presenter? No. For administration? Okay, Councillor Haas.
Sorry, administration, just to confirm, because I guess I was under the understanding as well, C-node allowed for commercial, but then possibly residential over top of that commercial property. Is that not C-node?
CEO Panasic?
Through the mayor to members of council. So there is a number of different residential uses that can be authorized through the C-node district. So multi-dwelling unit developed up to 4 stories, as well as residential units above street level. So in developments where there'd be likely commercial on the bottom with residential units on top.
So that is possible under this a combination.
That's correct, as well as stacked townhouse. But again, these are discretionary uses.
Discretionary. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. Thank you, Councillor Haas. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088 TAC 25?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Vanessa Lafleur. I am the Heart Program Coordinator here in town. And for the people in the room that do not know what that is, I am the Homelessness and At Risk of Homelessness Coordinator here in Hinton. I wouldn't necessarily say right now I'm specifically in favor or opposed to any specific area in town that are on the agenda for this meeting. However, I really would like to ask to know at some point from town council and mayor if there's any specific plan in place for any rezoning specifically for any area for a transitional supportive housing for the vulnerable community members in Hinton who live here. Many of them are long-term residents that have lived here, grown up here, fallen into very difficult times, and are part of the homelessness community. Or are these lands going to be specifically designated just for, single unit dwellings or maybe duplexes or anything like that? So it's something I'm asking the town and council and mayor to consider. The other thing, because we do have such a high population of people who are homeless and at risk of homeless in our community of 10,000. And I feel that I can speak to that because I see the people, I work with the people, I know the numbers, I know the statistics for the town. And I'll just show my hoodie that I'm wearing here. Housing is a human right. It doesn't matter what your income is. It doesn't matter what your tax bracket is. Housing is a human right. Another thing which was brought up earlier, a couple of things. We do need quite a few, I would say, low-income houses here in Hinton. And I know somebody mentioned earlier about, the risk of, thefts and break-ins and all of these things. And I don't want people to tie or connect low-income housing with crime and theft and everything else like that, because there, although it does happen in any tax bracket, I'll say, that there is no real correlation with if you have low-income housing, then we're going to have more crime and theft. So I wanted to clear that up. Another thing I wanted to bring to attention is what was also mentioned earlier, was to revisit the Airbnbs that are here in Hinton. And now since, even since the last changes when there was a cap put on the Airbnbs, now what we're seeing more of is the landlords, by getting away from being an Airbnb, they're renting out, they have 5 bedrooms in a house, but they're renting out this bedroom to one person for $1,000 a month, this bedroom to a different person for $1,000 a month. But you can share the kitchen and you can share the laundry and those types of things. So that's how they're getting away from being an Airbnb classification. However, they're still taking away the family unit dwellings by renting out room by room by room, which is also causing a number of different issues as well. And I know, everybody wants to save the green spaces, and the green spaces are beautiful. I love seeing the deer go through. I love seeing, people walking with their children, with their pets. All of these things are what make Hinton beautiful and unique. And so I wanted to comment on that as well. And I know that some of these areas may be zoned for the discretionary uses. And so I would also take the opportunity to request that when it comes to voting, for whether or not these are going to be passed or what the uses are going to be, to please keep in mind the need for the program that I have, the homelessness and at risk of homelessness program, for the need that we have to see some transitional supportive housing for our most vulnerable community members. And I know some community members won't like that idea. They'll be opposed to it. And I realize that, I acknowledge that, and I respect that. However, I ask the community members as well as mayor and council to acknowledge and recognize that the need is high. The need is there. The need is probably the highest it's ever been in Hinton. And we really need to, people can thrive if they are housed. People's lives can change if they're housed. That's the bottom line, I guess, of what I'm trying to say. And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaFleur. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 1088, TAC 25? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088, TAC 25?
My name is Liz Larilla, and I'd like to reiterate again that if you're going to zone it as commercial, please keep in mind that it should be not any of those other heavy commercial things. It should be residential. And I think you need to take into consideration if you're going to be doing housing, the policing, the infrastructure, your aquifer, all those kind of things need to be taken into consideration. And perhaps by zoning it and having a residential that's going to be maybe 4 units high might be a little bit too intense for that area. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larilla. Is there anyone, actually,
My name's Tyler Rossing again. Just a brief comment just on something recently learned. Yeah, it seems if the concern is housing and we need more housing, why are we proposing to be changing to commercial, not just residential? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rossing. Is there anyone else present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 1088, TAC 25? Is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by bylaw number 1088 TAC 25 and wishes to speak? Do councillors have any further questions? Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To administration. So C node urban commercial, it's saying up to 4 stories. It could be 2 stories.
See Opanasik?
Yes, I saw Lorraine nod. And also, Vanessa was talking about the need for, homes for people who are homeless or suffering from an addiction. You had mentioned that first we have the apartments and then we have where it's commercial on the bottom and then apartments on top. What did you call
See
it?
Opanasik?
That's correct. Yeah, residential dwelling units above street level.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, the concern is commercial, but the discretionary use is residential with apartments up to 4 stories and what CAO just talked about. Just so everybody's clear.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Do councillors have any further questions? Do councillors require any further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to bylaw number 1088 TAC 25 is closed and will accept a motion to adjourn. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to move that we adjourn public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 25.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing for bylaw number 1088 TAC 25. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand. And that motion is carried unanimously. Secretary, was that captured correctly on your end? Excellent. That will take us to item 5.6 of the agenda this evening, reserve disposal 176 Cheviot Drive. The following public hearing is held pursuant to Section 674 of the Municipal Government Act, being Chapter M26 RSA 2000 and amendments thereto. The following rules of conduct will be followed during this public hearing. Presentation should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation shall be entry of written submissions, those supporting the reserve disposal, those opposing the reserve disposal, and any other person deemed to be affected by the reserve disposal. Council may ask questions of the speakers after each presentation for clarification purposes. There will be no debating the reserve disposal. However, questions to the councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. I hereby declare the public hearing relating to the reserve disposal open. Secretary?
The purpose of the proposed reserve disposal is to remove the designation of reserve from the lands legally described as Lot R1, Block 13, Plan 5662 RS 176 Cheviot Drive. Notice of this public hearing was advertised consecutively in the Hinton Voice newspaper on June 12th, 19th, 2025, as well as on the Town of Hinton website, Facebook webpage, and via email sent by Civic Sense to subscribers. A notice of the public hearing was also posted on the subject lines.
Thank you, Secretary. Are there any late written submissions relating to the reserve disposal?
There are none.
Thank you, Secretary. We'll go to the list of speakers, and first up we have Mr. Wayne and Lori Ingram.
I'm Lori Ingram. So our letter that we wrote and is on file for 180 Cheviot also talked about opposition to the 176 reserve disposal. So if and when 180 Cheviot is denied rezoning as medium to high density, then this reserve area should be left as is, or if possible, zoned park as well. in order to have it be part of the upper and lower hill trail system included in the park at 180 Cheviot. So that whole area could be made one. In fact, in 2017, this is kind of what we thought was supposed to be happening, and it didn't. But anyway. So I just want to speak to that we don't really need to have a road from Emerson through to Cheviot if the 180 Cheviot does not go through, okay? And that would just make it crazy because people have tried to drive over those rocks that are at the top and everything. Like it's, that would be a crazy thing to do, to rezone that 176 or to take the reserve disposal off without changing it to park. And then speaking to the springs that are in that hill. So when the gas meters were moved into the houses, in our house in particular, they had to dig a hole outside of our fence, and then they cored underneath to the back of our house and then put the gas meter inside. At that point, that spring that comes out about a third of the way up the hill there at Cheviot came out in our yard for about 2 to 3 years. Then it went back to its irregular spot. So messing around with that area, who knows what's going to happen. So yeah, just want to speak to that we don't need to just take the reserve disposal off just to have it off for roadway access, unless there's truly going to be something happening up there at 180 Cheviot, and I hope that doesn't happen.
Thank you, Mrs. Ingram. Next speaker on our list is Carol Thomason.
Hello, I have another letter from my daughter. With regard to this subject, I am opposed to the proposed reserve disposal. This disposal, once again, is inconsistent with this Strategy 18 from the 2011 Community Sustainability Plan to protect and expand green spaces and to conserve natural habitats. This parcel is currently used both as a park for playing and picnicking and as a safe pathway between the upper hill and the lower hill by children going to and from the schools, keeping them off the main roads. Additionally, adding a roadway and intersection on the curved, hilled section of Cheviot would be dangerous. Once green space is gone, with roads or housing on it, it is gone for all future generations. We need to keep all green spaces that were designed into our town long ago. Thank you for not disposing the reserve status of this well-used green space. Charlotte Thomason.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of the reserve disposal? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to the reserve disposal? Is there anyone present who is deemed to be affected by the reserve disposal and wishes to speak? Come on down.
Hi, my name's Ellen Woodhead. I've lived in Hinton for 56 years. I feel that our community is really reaching out and wanting you to really listen to us, that we want to keep our spaces green. We want to continue to enjoy them as we've enjoyed them for many, many years, not just as people that have lived here long-term, people that maybe have just moved into an area and that's why they purchased their homes. I don't live on the hill. I used to. I enjoyed all of these spaces we've talked about today. I just feel that people are really wanting us to really look at what we want in our town. Yes, we want to grow. Yes, we need housing, but I think we need to find that balance. I think people really, really want to see our parks improved. We're all affected by these decisions. The hill is seen to be the targeted area for now. There's a lot of people that, like I said, we're settled in. This is where we live. These are our spaces. We enjoy them. We want to keep them. I really hope you listen to that, because there's a lot of people that have showed up that care about our spaces, whether it's a park, an actual park, or whether it's just a treat area that you enjoy to find some peace, tranquility, sound barrier, whatever it may be. To put in multi-level housing into an area that's already been established as a single dwelling, or maybe even duplexes, high density is really going to affect the people that bought those properties in a negative way, in my opinion. I live close to a park in the valley. I wouldn't want to see a multiplex where I live. I'm sorry. I feel there's spaces in our town that there are properties that were purchased that are sitting stagnant and they're not being addressed. And I feel that there could be so much more growth in those bigger areas than putting something in somebody's cul-de-sac, in their little green space, or even the park that they love. I would really like to see the parks enhanced. I know we're working on a few right now, and it's wonderful. That's what we want. We want those spaces to be even better than they are now, but we want to keep them green. We do want to grow, but I think we grow east or west. And I don't think we need 4-story big apartment buildings. Build a little lower. We want to see our mountains. That's why we bought our properties. We want to see our foothills. We don't want to be this high. We need to keep that in mind when we look at the demographic of where we are situated and the topography. Yes, I know it's a challenge for building. When you're removing dirt, you're putting in infrastructure. I get that the infrastructure is close by to these ones that you're looking at now. I get it. It's the feasibility. But I feel like you're really, really cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Ms. Woodhead. Is there anyone else present who is deemed to be affected by reserve disposal and wishes to speak? Come on up.
Hello, my name is Fatima Osorio. I've lived here for about 14, 15 years. I am originated from Peru. I wasn't planning on speaking. I sent an email, but after hearing everybody here so passionate about this, I feel like I should say something too. I had a friend visit from Peru a couple of months ago. I took her to Niagara and all the nice areas in Toronto. And then we came here to Hinton. To my amazement, my friend from all the places that we went to, the one that she likes the most was Hinton. And that should tell you a lot, because we are a nice little town. We're not a big city. And I feel like most of the people here are trying to tell you that it's not that we don't want Hinton to grow. Like I went to Canmore probably 2 or 3 years ago. When I went there, my first thought, it was like, this should be Hinton. Like, I feel like we have a nice area that we could be a Canmore, potentially. It's not like we don't want to grow. It's just the way you're trying to do it. Like you're trying to take away all these green spaces. So the idea that everybody's trying to tell you, I think, is not that we're against change. It's not that we're against the growth of the town. We would love to see a bigger and nicer mall, a nicer rec center, nicer areas for everybody, but just not the way you want to do it. Like not taking the green areas away from us. Like that's what makes Hinton nice. Like I said, my friend was amazed by this little town. Like I took her to all the nice touristy areas from Canada. And the place that she liked the most was Hinton. Like, imagine that, how proud I felt that like I was so shocked, truly shocked that I took her to all these nice places. And the place that she liked the most was Hinton. She couldn't have enough. Like she didn't want to leave. She truly didn't want to leave. And she comes from Lima, the capital city of Peru that has everything. But do you know what Lima doesn't have? Green areas. We don't have a lot of green areas. We have parks, but not like nice green areas like here that you can have little pieces of green areas within town. Like, yes, I read some comments online from people saying, yes, we have so many green areas. Why can't we take some of this? But why cannot we expand like this instead of like expanding and putting like big buildings in the middle of the town when all the houses are like this? This is like infrastructurally, it doesn't even look good. And it's gonna affect like all the people around these areas. Like, I feel like we're all affected by it. Like not necessarily because we live in those specific areas, but it's gonna look completely silly if you have all these 1 floor, 2 floor high houses, and then you have these big buildings. Like, how is that gonna look? And how is that gonna affect the people that live around those areas? Like most of the people tell you, like they bought that house because it has a nice view, and now you're gonna take that away from them. And the prices of their houses are gonna go down. And there is so many more areas that you could potentially use for this development that you want to do. Like, it's not like we're against change. It's just that we're against you taking away the green spaces. And children nowadays are already having a hard time leaving their cell phones. Like, we have a problem with that. And the few kids that do go to the parks are now not going to have parks to go to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosario. Is there anyone else present who is deemed to be affected by reserve disposal and wishes to speak? Do councillors have any further questions? Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know this is a little bit off topic but it's been coming up. So CEO Panasic, can you explain please what discretionary means when you have rezoning? What does that refer to? So if it's discretionary to have a high building, 4-story building, what does that discretionary mean?
Councillor Hawes, we're in the middle of a public hearing on a reserve disposal. It has nothing to do with zoning. I'm going to allow your question after we've closed this public hearing, if that's okay.
If that's fine, it's just it got off topic already on this and a lot of the things. I wanted to but if that's the chair, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you. So do councillors have any further questions specifically relating to the reserve disposal in 176 Cheviot Drive? Do councillors require Councillor Stashik?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would actually request that the chair allow the response to Councillor Haas's question. It's a point that came up during the presentation regarding the reserve disposal, and he's asking for clarification on the point that was brought up during the reserve disposal discussion. I would like to hear the response to his question.
Thank you, Councillor Stashik, and given that council has an interest, CEO Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn this over to Ms. Walker, who can probably explain it much better than I could.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Chair, through to Council. Yes, any use that is considered discretionary under the land use district that it's in the parcel that it's at is considered appealable. So what that means is under the MGA, we do have to advertise it in the local newspaper, and it is advertised as discretionary, which we provide a 21-day appeal period for any of those affected parties that want to appeal it. Now, if they do choose to appeal, there is a process whereby they need to provide a letter of appeal to the Secretary of the Appeal Board, and they have to provide planning reasons as to why they're appealing. There is a fee as well with that. I think it's $250. And then what happens is the Secretary of the Board will set up an appeal hearing. Our board is regional, so that would have to be set up between is Hinton and Edson and Jasper. And then so that hearing would be set up, and then that at that time is when the appeal would be heard. Does that answer your question?
Councillor Haas?
Absolutely, because I just wanted to be clear, because what I'm hearing is we don't want it to look, and there's going to be these big buildings, but if that is under the discretionary, then there's a process that can be gone through to not allow that in that area if there is an appeal process to do that, as long as it meets that discretionary. So I think that's important to understand, because I've been hearing a lot about big tall buildings, but all those big town buildings are under discretionary consideration for all this rezoning. So it wouldn't just happen without, you knowing about it and also being able to appeal it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. And of course, that is not the case for this public hearing. 176 Cheviot Drive is a reserve disposal, nothing being built with the reserve disposal. Do councillors have any further questions on this public hearing topic? Do councillors require further information? If not, I hereby declare that the public hearing relating to the proposed reserve disposal of Plan 5662 RS Block 13, Lot R1 is closed, and will accept a motion to adjourn. Councillor Chambers.
To make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing agenda for reserve disposal 5662 RS Lot 13 R1.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn the public hearing for the reserve disposal 5662 RS Lot 13 R1. Any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand, and that motion is carried unanimously. Councillors, is there anything further from section 5 of the agenda this evening? Any further questions or clarifications required? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to section 6, information items, and we have a proclamation. Just have to find it. Okay, we have a proclamation. National Drowning Prevention Week, July 20th to 26th, 2025. Whereas the Life Saving Society of Canada works to prevent drowning and water-related injuries across the country and believes that even one drowning is one too many. Whereas the town of Hinton supports this mission, recognizing that most drownings are preventable through education, awareness, and safe behavior around water. And whereas the town of Hinton is proud that our aquatic staff are trained and certified through the Life Saving Society, and we remain committed to promoting water safety in our facilities and throughout the community. And whereas a water smart community is one that respects the risks of water while encouraging safe recreation, and where residents understand the importance of supervising children, avoiding alcohol during aquatic activities, and wearing life jackets when boating. And whereas the Life Saving Society has designated the week of July 20th to 26th, 2025 as National Drowning Prevention Week to focus attention on the ongoing need for drowning prevention efforts in all communities across Canada. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Nissen, Mayor of the Town of Hinton, do hereby proclaim July 20th to 26th, 2025 as National Drowning Prevention Week in the town of Hinton. I encourage all residents to practice and promote water safety at home, at the pool, and wherever water is enjoyed. Let us work together to prevent drowning and protect lives, because every life matters. And that will take us to section 7 of the agenda this evening, notices of motion. CO Panasic, do we have any notices of motion this week?
Through the mayor, no, we do not.
Thank you, CO Panasic. That will take us to section 8, reporting, and council reports. We'll go to Councillor Ostashik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Ostashik. Councillor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. Councillor Chambers and I were able, along with Mr. McLaughlin and Anna Liebermaster, joined the doctors in our healthcare working group this past Monday. It was a full conversation, and many notes were taken, and looking forward to seeing the update when we have them all put together from our CEO. So also I'm going to just mention, but I'm not sure Mayor Misson has some things to share, but he and I met with the Minister of Education, and what is their role? Education. He had something else attached to that as well. He's new to the ministry. He was the executive to the minister, and had some information for us on daycares and so forth. So I'll leave that to the mayor to share. Other than that, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you. Just further to Councillor Haas, definitely had an enjoyable meeting with the doctors. As he said, it was nice to be able to sit around a table and hear the perspective of Hinton's healthcare through the eyes of our doctors. And there was a lot of really good conversation about incentives, about the role of municipalities in attraction and retention of doctors, what they see, what they hear, what they feel the challenges are from, you know, locum doctors, from they themselves and their lived experience. So it was a really nice exchange of information, and looking forward to seeing how we can action that moving ahead. But it was certainly a really, really good meeting, and I was grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Race. Nothing to report. Thank you. And for myself, yes, Councillor Haas and I, along with CO Panasic, met with the Chief of Staff and some other staffers from the Ministry of Education and Childcare, relatively new portfolio, the childcare being added into education. And we are expecting a report to be coming back to a future committee meeting. This meeting was set up at the direction of council initially, and we did get some good feedback on some potential advocacy pathways forward, and we're looking forward to seeing that come back. Additionally, for council, there is one further virtual engagement session for the police funding model review going on tomorrow evening. If any councillors want to join me on that, feel free to let me know and I can share the link. But that is all I have to add for reporting this week. We'll go to CO Panasic reporting.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to report.
Thank you, CO Panasic. That will take us to section 9 of the agenda this evening, and 9.1. Council? Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adjourn at 6:14 p.m. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand. And that motion, Councillor Ostashik voting in favor by hand as well. That motion is carried unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for participating, for being great at efficient, getting your messages out. I really appreciate that. We had a great set of public hearings today, and thank you all for coming out. Additionally, these items will be decided